Hello and welcome to Health and Beauty Hacks. I'm your host, Mia Sines. And in this episode, you're going to meet Lorree Appleby. And I asked Lorree to be on because she deals with mastery of self, soul, love. And these are all elements that are extremely important for healing our body, mind, and spirit. And so these are one of the hacks that I've found that are so important. So, welcome, Lorree. It's wonderful to have you.
Thank you, Mia. It's so great to be here, and I'm very honored to be part of this amazing summit.
Yeah, it's lovely that you're here. Will you share with the audience a little bit about what you do specifically and how you got to the work that you got to? Because this spiritual side of work, it's a lot of our inner growth before we even get there.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm a radical living master coach, and that translates to a spiritual and life coach. And I'm also an intuitive energy healer. And I created a tool, which is a self care tool that's in the form of a game to help us to stay consistent to connecting with our soul. Because I realized in doing the work how important it is to do this every single day. So, how I help my clients is to help them to understand their soul's journey as best that they can from the human perspective and to start to shift their perspective on why things happened the way they did so that they can actually energetically release the pain, the stories of feeling as if they were victimized or they're not enough or no one's going to love them. And in doing that type of work with the belief systems and shifting it to gratitude and self-love and awareness, really connecting with our soul, people start to see how their life magically changes. They feel lighter because they've released all that dense energy. They start to connect to their purpose because they can actually communicate with their soul, and their soul starts to just show that to them what their purpose is in whatever brings them joy and happiness. So that's what I do. And how I was led to do this work is through my own journey, of course. I was a very shy girl. I just did not feel very safe to be myself, truthfully. I really, I, I would say that I was hiding from myself, but I was hiding from the world because it didn't feel safe to be myself. And as I got, my journey started to move forward, it got worse and worse. So I could handle it for a while, but then as I got, in my 40s, things started to, feel a lot of resentment, and my body started, really screaming at me to make some changes. I had a lot of aches and pains. I had a precancerous polyp in my colon all around the safety aspect. And when I was introduced to the Radical Forgiveness book that was created by Colin Tipping, it just changed my life. It actually gave me hope to see that our journey down here is purposeful, and I could never understand that before I had that perspective shift. So once I was able to see that all this purpose to the pain and the trials and tribulations that we can overcome in our life, I started to see the reasoning why. So that gave my logical mind some understanding, and then I really started to connect, do the soul work, and feel that immense love for myself and be able to give that to others, because I had to first do it for myself. And that was the part I was missing. I just forgot about me. It was all about helping everyone else. And I know so many people are in that similar same boat. We're great at helping everyone else, but when it comes to doing that for ourselves, we seem to not be able to.
Right. It's so interesting because especially women, men and women each have their own different avenues of healing. And women are the caretakers, the givers and nurturers. They rush quickly to serve others. And so we've grown up that way mostly and not taking care of ourselves. And that's the one aspect you find universally across the board with women is that lack of self-care because we're serving others. Now, men, they have their own issues with all the things that have come on the world on them, right? Like, you can't do this. A man has to, make all the money. A man can't show emotion. A man, that kind of stuff. And emotion is love. So it's beautiful to hack in and clear that stuff away so that we can be expression.
Absolutely, yes. And in doing the work for myself, I've been able to see how it has affected my husband, has affected my children and friends around me. And it's beautiful. Like we've healed our relationship. We've been together 30 years and it truthfully it was dysfunctional and it's not any longer, it did take time, but it's so beautiful to know that we can allow each other to be ourself and to feel our feelings and to not take that personally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Incredibly powerful.
it is.
Congratulations on that.
Thank
It's really
you.
beautiful. Yeah. So let's talk about soul, my
Mhm.
favorite topic.
Yeah, mine
And
too.
for those of you who are watching and are not aware, soul is a piece of us that is divine, that comes into our body. I believe, and many believe, that our soul is actually on our spine in alignment between our womb and our heart. And that's where that's where soul, it doesn't have a he or she attached, but that's where soul resides within us. And we are body, mind, and spirit. Spirit is soul, spirit is
Mhm.
mind, and so is soul. So it's really important to understand who you are on all levels. And if your belief is that you don't have a soul, that's okay. But look into connecting to your higher self, and eventually, I believe you'll find your soul.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. So let's talk about what is a soul connection and why is it so important? I think I just gave part of it away. I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, it's okay. There's so much to share. So, to me, soul connection is when you are in flow. It's not effortless. It's not it doesn't take effort. It should feel somewhat effortless to be able to connect to your soul. But I do find it is definitely a practice if a person, and I'll just say for myself that I wasn't used to that. I very much lived up in my head. So there was a lot of mental chatter. And I know that, this is a very common thing because we have so much information happening, going on, coming at us. And if we are not um, turning all of that off and just being with ourselves. And for some people, that is the scariest thing ever, to have silence and to not be doing anything. And especially for caregivers, we're always helping other people. And I think part of that is so that we don't have to stop and be still with ourselves. So that soul connection is being still, it's slowing down, it's creating space for yourself, and it's just being with yourself. And it's simple as that. However, when we do attempt to do that, what will usually happen is the mind starts chattering and thinking about all the different things. So being able to connect with your soul is really about through your breath and through your self-awareness. So just tuning in and noticing your body, noticing how everything feels, noticing the environment around you, just being in that moment. And I know we hear this all the time, how mindfulness is so important. In order to connect with our soul, mindfulness is very important. And because otherwise it's really hard to connect with all that busyness going
With the
on.
monkey mind, as they call it.
Right, the monkey mind. Another beautiful way that I love to connect with my soul is through creativity. So just being in that flow of doing what brings you joy and love is connecting with your soul, because time just goes by and you don't even realize, you're not watching the time. Next thing you know, an hour went by and you were so focused and immersed in whatever it was you were doing. And it can be so many different things. It could be something artistic. It could be cooking, gardening, singing, dancing, so many things. Those are just a few that come to mind. But when we are in that creative mode and we are doing what we love, what brings us joy, we are definitely soul connected. So there is so many ways to do it, but it really is about being focused and going within. It's within, not an outer focus. It's an inner focus.
Beautiful. And for those of you who don't understand the terminology of flow, Many of you will, because many of you are here as spiritual people, but
Mhm.
it's that ease and grace that
Mhm.
most people have chaos, and so it's a natural flow. And it's really beautiful because I've had people ask me that question
Yeah.
before. So I wanted to be
Thank
clear
you.
on that. Yeah. I love what you're bringing up because also when we connect with our soul or stop and listen and become aware of ourselves and bring in love and stillness, what we're also doing is we're healing our emotional intelligence.
Mm.
We're so wound up as humans. The number one thing is emotion from our childhood, our, you know, young adults, our early years, our married years, and one trauma can come on to another until we clear it and we get still and we move through it. There are different ways that people do that. So I'm glad you brought that up because some people are like, I can never get still. That's because there's probably trauma attached and things like that, chaos that you just need to look at and get through, find peace with it. There are different ways.
Mhm.
Okay, perfect. How to create a soulful connection anywhere.
Okay, so it's quite simple once again, and I touched on it a little bit. So the first step is to notice, to just observe and notice. And consciously breathing, noticing your breath is the perfect way because the breath is our life. Our soul comes in and we have our first breath when we are born. So it's through our breath and we just notice. We notice what's going on. We pay attention to our body, just breathing and noticing. And then in that point between our breaths, you can start to feel. So you start to feel, and you also, when you if someone's struggling with that in the noticing piece, um, then I invite them to look at it that there is two perspectives. There, you can have the perspective of, all these things going on, but then you can also choose to have the perspective of peace, of connection, of the inner part. So noticing and shifting our perspective inward rather than outward, and then feeling those beautiful qualities of our soul when we're breathing. So I love to just focus my attention on my heart space and just imagine it expanding out, and then I just start to feel the love, compassion, peace, unity, wisdom will come through. Very often when I'm doing that, I'll get some kind of insight. So feeling those soul qualities that we all have within us, no matter what we've done, no matter what our past is, it does not matter. Every one of us has those beautiful qualities within us because that is our soul qualities. And then it's about just being with it. So just breathing, so noticing, feeling, and then being. And I love to expand my energy out just by intention. So doing those three things, it's very simple. You can be anywhere to do it. It doesn't matter if you're in a crowd of people, that might be a little bit more challenging. However, with practice, it does come. It truly does. And you can be that calm in whatever is going on around you. But it is about being very present with yourself. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. As you were going through it, I was and you said in public. That's where we want to be able to grow into that space where we do realign ourselves instantly instead of allowing someone's chaos to disrupt us, dissuade us, upset us, whatever it is. Being centered and grounded is so vital and so important. And it is a practice, isn't it?
Totally. Yes, it
You
is.
you
And
mentioned
having compassion for yourself when you're practicing is of the utmost importance because it's very easy for our logical mind to just start to, oh, this is silly. Why are you doing, and it'll shut us down very quickly. So just practice and patience and compassion are the keys to being able to have a strong soul connection.
I'm not sure if it was you or if I just need to ask you this. It's coming through, but I'm not sure if you mentioned that you have your people do routines, morning routines. but for some reason that's coming. We know that when we have a morning routine, it balances our day and our. Would you like to share a little bit about what you work with people on for their routines for balance and connection?
Absolutely, yes. So, with people, I definitely suggest that they don't connect to their phones right away, of course, or any kind of media. And do when I first wake up, the subconscious mind is in that theta state when you first wake up and right before you go to sleep. So it's the most programmable at that time. So when I wake up, I also suggest this to clients, is to, just wake up, smile, talk to your body, tell yourself how much you love yourself and you're so grateful, and thank your body for being with you, and just breathing and telling yourself today is going to be a great day or a beautiful day or whatever type of day you want it to be. That makes all the difference. It might sound a little corny and it might sound so simple, but it makes all the difference of setting that intention. And then I do share, of course, some kind of meditation or focused attention. If some people, if they're not able to meditate or they struggle with that, going for a quiet walk in nature and just being with yourself and connecting to nature is a beautiful way. If a person isn't able to, or they struggle with sitting and meditating, I would rather see them go for a walk than not do anything. And then I also suggest to my clients is using the soul adventure game. So it's a way to have that focus on one aspect of yourself for that day. So it's taking all of the spiritual growth and all the things we want to do, and we seem to want it all right away. It's not doable. So breaking it down into a small little bite-sized piece and just focusing on that's doable. We can all manage that. So choosing an affirmation, choosing a part of ourself, and then choosing an energy, and we do that through the card. So our energy pulls in what it is that we are being called to focus on for that day. And so those are the main routines that I really suggest, but I also suggest that it's important to try different things and see what resonates for you, because we're all different. And I'm a big believer that it's very important to not try to fit in someone else's box.
I love that.
So find your own box, create your own box, try different things, explore, see what works for you, and then do that.
May I share something?
Please, yes.
Um, Maybe don't even think about a box because we're
Yeah.
always trying to get out of the box, right? And that
Right.
to create our own circle, our own expansion, our own area is so important. I love that you brought up the patterns. So I just want to talk a little bit about that so that, or I want to share a little bit of the view of that too, and then you too, because it's really important for people to understand we can train our subconscious. That's what we do here, many of us who do this work. So we're laying in new patterns. What a new pattern looks like is when Lorree was saying, I love you, I love myself. You're laying in a new pattern for your subconscious I've learned this with this work, literally, that you can reprogram yourself through the subconscious to regurgitate up what the conscious does. So they begin to work together. So instead of having, I'm upset, you're ugly, you've got wrinkles, you're this, you're that, all the negative stuff that we're used to hearing because that's what we're used to saying, and our subconscious supports that. We now can lay in patterns, I love you, you're okay, you're perfect, you're this, you're that, whatever it is. And your subconscious will start to talk to you. I love you. You've got this. It's okay. Just like your conscious mind would do. So that's what the laying of patterns is. It's
Definitely, yes. And
you
eventually
coincide with that, or do you agree with that?
absolutely,
Okay,
yes,
good.
absolutely. And that's a big part of the game, is that it is helping us to gently and repetitively give ourselves those positive suggestions that are actually true.
You know what's really crazy is now that we're talking about this, I'll share that one of the things that I do that I read in the book, How to Starve Cancer Without Starving Yourself, is an affirmation, I am in spontaneous remission. And
Mm,
I got mala beads, and then friends started sending me malas too, so that I could, because I was talking about, doing this with my friends. And or for me, not them. And literally, Amala has those the Buddhist Tibetan type of beads. There's 108. So I started counting. I am in spontaneous remission, and I couldn't even say it at first. I would get the words jumbled. I was struggling, and it probably took about. This is someone who does this work all the time. It probably took about 2 days, 3 days for it to be smooth. I'm telling you, I did it more than 108 times a day. And so literally now, wherever I have a blank space or even a negative thought, not a negative thought, if something comes up about cancer, I simply shift. I'm in spontaneous remission. And I absolutely believe that. And so because of believing that and working on this healing, the last two ultrasound and the MRI showed that I'm heading towards spontaneous remission. The doctors don't understand. So there is value to what Lorree's saying about putting in these affirmations and practicing them in your life. They're very vital, and you're going to find more and more people who are doing this type of stuff to shift and change their life.
Absolutely. And just to add to that, like it really does work because we're speaking it out loud, because we're breathing, we're integrating it into our body. And that's the thing, when we do everything mentally, it's not integrating, it's just sitting in the conscious mind, which is like this tiny little part of our mind. But when we can integrate it, it goes right into the subconscious and all of our cells, and we actually are commanding our body to heal. And it's beautiful that you did that, like with the beads. I love that idea.
Yeah. I was really grateful that I read that in the book, because it hadn't, even though I'm metaphysical and I've healed and all sorts of stuff before, I did not catch that one point, that was the shift and the major shift that needed to happen. So, and people do this, you guys, people do this for abundance, money, literally, I'm infinitely wealthy is another affirmation that's beautiful, but to feel it, know what it means. There's a divine flow and you miss nothing. Everything is yours. So it's really beautiful. What else would you like? We have a free gift from you, but what else would you like to? Well, let's go for your free gift first, and then I'll ask you what else you'd like to share.
For sure. Yeah. So I'm sharing with everyone some be real practices. So it's about being real, connecting who you truly are, and being that person all of the time, which is a journey in itself because of all the programs and who we're being for all these other people, but being real for ourselves. So I have some very simple practices to do, and I also sharing a beautiful meditation to listen to, and it would be great to listen to it as soon as you wake up or before you go to sleep, because all that be real practice and love is going to go into your subconscious. So they're just simple practices that you can just start implementing, and none of them cost money. It's things that you can do anytime, anywhere, and it's just a really great reminder to help to do this.
It's very interesting. You said none of it costs money. And I bet you find this to be true too. If you told someone you could be healed or you could change the way in which you believe if you paid $1 million, and it was guaranteed, somebody who had that would take it. Or if you told somebody, this isn't going to cost you anything, do the work and you can make $1 million because your awareness is different, you're in a different place, people would do that because they don't hold value to it. So if you don't hold value without spending money, rework your programming, because we're on a money planet and we don't even, the concept is everything should be free. That's why people give free gifts in these shows, because they're wanting to support you moving along. So understand that your mindset is literally the make or break, right, Lorree?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to cost, but it's going to cost your time.
Well, right, which is isn't it the most glorious journey too?
And commitment.
Yeah, but it's an incredible journey to go on, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I want to just say once again that it is a journey, and it's important to be compassionate with ourselves when we're changing programs. We're not going to get it perfect. We're not going to get it right. You got to just let all that go and just always just keep coming back, to the same things, and keep coming back and never giving up. And people are gonna start to see that shift.
I'm really grateful you brought that part up, because in self-love, which is what we have to heal ourselves, we don't have to, but it makes it go so much faster. And believe me, you're going to get self-love as you heal yourself. But that gentleness, thank you for bringing that up. That smoothness, that gentleness, we open like a flower to the sun when we're gentle. Otherwise, for those who have trauma, we want to hide when there's non-gentleness. So that gentleness is expansion. I'm really glad you brought that up. Okay, gosh, it was so lovely to have you. Anything else you'd like to leave us with?
I think that just believe, just because you can't see something tangibly does not mean it's true. So believing that we can heal ourselves, believing that we can change our life, having that faith and trusting the process. It's not going to be a quick fix. But quick fixes aren't what we're looking for. We're looking for lasting, lifelong change. So just having that belief is so powerful. So it doesn't necessarily have to be believing in any other thing other than yourself and your creator, and believing in that connection and connecting to your soul, and just having that love for yourself is the key to changing anything in your life, and especially to healing.
Thank you so much, Lorree, for joining us.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, it was lovely. And thank you all. We'll see you in another episode of Health and Beauty Hacks. Have a great week.
Bye.